Gilded Age was a transformative period in American history, marked by the meteoric rise of big business and the immense wealth accumulated by individuals such as William Boss Tweed, Andrew Carnegie, and John D. Rockefeller. These figures, once humble in origin, epitomized the rags to riches narrative, embodying the Horatio Alger stories that captivated the nation. William Boss Tweed, initially a chair factory worker, ascended to become the affluent leader of Tammany Hall, while Carnegie and Rockefeller, born into poverty, emerged as influential leaders of the steel and oil trusts. Respectively, J.P. John Piermont Morgan, a formidable financier, wielded significant influence, leveraging his power to encourage the formation and perpetuation of trusts.
During this era, the laissez-faire capitalism prevailing in the United States allowed trusts to dominate the economic landscape, engaging in unfair business practices, price manipulation, and the exploitation of workers. The prevalent belief in social Darwinism, articulated by Herbert Spencer, applied Darwin's evolutionary principles to society, suggesting that only the strongest and most capable individuals would thrive in a competitive environment. This ideology, encapsulated by the concept of survival of the fittest, justified the monopolistic influence of business magnates. Their sway even extended to the legislative arena, as seen in the Bland-Allison Act of 1878, which supported the silver industry by requiring the U.S. Treasury to purchase a specific amount of silver for circulation as silver dollars.
The unchecked power of these trusts eventually led to the emergence of the antitrust movement, a social and political effort aimed at restraining or dismantling monopolies to foster fair competition in the U.S. economy. The culmination of this movement was the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890, the first federal antitrust law in the United States, signed into law by President Harrison. However, the struggle against monopolies faced challenges, such as the powerful legal precedent set by the U.S. versus E.C. Knight case in 1895. The Supreme Court ruled in favor of the American Sugar Refining Company, which limited the government's capacity to regulate monopolies under the Sherman Antitrust Act. Now again, looking towards the 19th century, the rapid industrialization and economic change came with issues for many. The Interstate Commerce Commission, or the ICC, was established in 1887 in response to these growing concerns about the power of railroad corporations. The regulatory body ensured fair and reasonable rates for transportation and laid the groundwork for modern economic oversight. However, looking towards some of the more divisive points in American history at this time, legal-wise, we can look at Wabash v. Illinois, which was decided in 1886 and also played a role in shaping the regulatory landscape. The Supreme Court's decision limited the ability of states to regulate interstate commerce, asserting that only the federal government had that authority. The landmark case set the stage for a more centralized approach to economic regulation. And now we can also look at another landmark case, Munn v. Illinois in 1877. It involved the regulation of grain elevators and warehouses, with the Supreme Court ruling that the states could regulate private businesses that serve the public interest. And we gotta really emphasize that point there. This decision set the precedent for the government's ability to intervene in the economy for the greater good. And this, of course, is focusing, again, only on public interests. If it goes anywhere in the private sector, that is not legal, and possibly or probably unconstitutional. And now also looking to more of an intellectual side of this narrative, Adam Smith was a Scottish economist and philosopher, and he was also hailed as the father of modern economics. His seminal work, or his book, Wealth of Nations, was published in 1776, laid the groundwork for the classical economic thought. Smith's ideas on free markets, self-interest, and the invisible hand continue to influence economic theory to this day.
Amid these economic and legal developments, the Wilson-Gorman Tariff of 1894 attempted to address tariff issues during Grover Cleveland's presidency. Criticized for not making significant changes, the tariff reflected the complex and contentious economic landscape of the time. Concurrently, the Panic of 1893, a severe economic depression, gripped the United States, causing bank failures, widespread unemployment, and a decline in industrial production. The repercussions of this economic downturn were felt across society and politics, underscoring the interconnectedness of economic policy and societal well-being during the Gilded Age.
Fast forwarding to 1911, the antitrust movement achieved a significant victory with the trust busting of John Rockefeller's oil industry. Forced to break up his company, Rockefeller maintained influence by strategically selling pieces of it to his associates. This episode symbolized a turning point in the battle against monopolies, demonstrating the capacity of a government intervention to curb the excess of big business and restore balance to the American economy.
When you're younger, it's just a game. Something you do with your friends to pass the time. You play for the reason most do, the fun of it. But when you reach the next level of competition, you begin to thirst for victory and glory. But this will not come with ease. The competition is more intense. Goalies face harder shots, defenders get up early to hunt goose eggs, and forwards practice hard to make guys miss. All of this training requires conditioning to keep your body in top physical shape. Meaning, you will need something that is proven to rehydrate, replenish, and refuel your body. When you hit the bigs, it gets more intense. People play all out all the time and shoot lasers, requiring you to have an extra step and extra fuel. So if it's glory and victory you're after, you'll need a powerful drink to get you there. Human sweat, the extra juice, the extra step, and the extra kick from your friend that just needed cash. Available where you shop locally or online at human-sweat-no-really-not-kidding.com. For a limited time, use offer code GILDEDEVEN23 to get 20% of your first purchase. Terms and conditions apply.
And now, our feature presentation.
The Gilded Age marked the genesis of the labor movement, a term inspired by Mark Twain's The Gilded Age, A Tale of Today, which vividly portrayed the era's prevalent greed and corruption. Rooted in discontent stemming from deplorable working conditions, meager wages, and prolonged working hours, this period witnessed the emergence of influential labor movements. Figures like Samuel Gompers founded the American Federation of Labor, the AFL, while Uriah Stevens led the Knights of Labor, and Eugene V. Debs established the American Railway Union.
The working class endured the oppressive reign of industrial tyrants as large corporations disregarded the well-being of their employees. The resulting wealth imbalance left many working individuals languishing in the lower class. Concurrently, groups outside the Union sphere, such as the Salvation Army and Cardinal Gibbons, endeavored to uplift the lower class.
Businesses deployed anti-union tactics, encompassing blacklisting, use of strike breakers, and legal measures to stifle union influence. The necessity for strike breakers became evident in numerous strikes, leading to violent clashes during events like the Pullman strike and the Homestead strike, involving the Pinkerton Detective Agency and federal troops under the command of Grover Cleveland.
We also had things such as the 1886 Chicago Haymarket Square riot, which was marked by a fatal bomb incident, intensifying the anti-labor sentiment. To look more in on this, the anarchists at the time all were outraged by the fact of a previous strike where a couple workers died. And to do this, they all said, hey, come to Haymarket Square. We'll protest, we'll be, all peaceful and all that. But a bomb was thrown. No one knows who it was, evidently. But there have been many suspects, most of which have been anarchists. We have people such as Louis Ling, who have been blamed for it, as they had multitude of evidence paired up against them. And what this did was it placed a anti-sentiment towards the labor movement and greatly affected this.
Beyond the unions, the Populist Party emerged as a political force among the lower class. The 1892 Omaha Platform advocated economic and political reform to address the concerns of farmers and workers. Notably, farmers faced crop price deflation due to increased production amid declining demand, prompting the formation of cooperatives to sell their goods.
Various approaches aim to address the prevalent issues. Classical economists like Adam Smith proposed concepts like the iron law of wages to delineate national economic functioning. Thinkers such as Henry George, William Grant Sumner, and Edward Bentley presented alternative ideas.
We also had tariffs during this time, such as the time where Cleveland lowered tariffs. That refers to the efforts of President Cleveland to reduce protective tariffs on imported goods during his presidency in the late 19th century. The Dingley Tariff of 1897 was a protective tariff passed during the presidency of William McKinley. It was named after Congressman Nelson Dingley Jr., and it also aimed to protect domestic industries by imposing duties on imported goods. And then we finally come to the McKinley Tariff of 1890, a protective tariff that was passed during the presidency of William McKinley as well, and it aimed at protecting American industries from foreign competition. A prevalent notion involved diversifying the American currency, previously solely backed by gold. Advocates like William Jennings Bryan championed initiatives such as in the Cross of Gold speech and with the Sherman Silver Purchase Act. This countered the Specie Resumption Act of 1875. Economic discrimination gave way to economic cooperation. Though the Populist Party faded, its ideals found a home in the Democratic Party, resonating with a broader audience and eventually influencing the nation with these ideals.
In the media landscape, figures like William Randolph Hearst, a newspaper publisher known for yellow journalism and the owner of the New York Journal, played a significant role. His influence, alongside that of Joseph Pulitzer, owner of the New York World, shaped public opinion and discourse in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He did this through
Sensationalized.
He did this through sensationalized reporting and aggressive editorial practices.
These people served as muckrakers, as we call them today, people who would expose the corrupt bits of the Gilded Age. Another example can be seen with Upton Sinclair and his meatpacking industry expose. This was called The Jungle, and it was horrifying. We have talked a lot about this podcast on the awful working conditions of the of different workers, but we never mentioned how this affected the actual industry. In The Jungle, Sinclair describes the horrific processes that the meat undergoes, such as being left in piles where rats defecate on them, the actual gutting process of the meats. And it's quite horrific to the viewer. His aim here was to aim for the hearts of readers, but instead he hit their stomachs. After this expose was publicized, President Theodore Roosevelt came out with a couple federal laws that really went over the process of meatpacking. We see this with the Meat Inspection Act and with the Pure Food and Drug Administration establishment. And this really goes on to the entire idea of the business versus consumers during this age, and how consumers started giving a lot more value towards what they were putting in themselves and not giving as much power to what the businesses kept saying.
Now, looking towards the realm of historical interpretation, Frederick Jackson Turner's frontier thesis became a notable intellectual contribution. Turner argued that the closing of the American frontier, once a large expanse of American land, played a crucial role in shaping the national character and influencing American democracy.
Thank you for listening to Gilded Horizons. Please contact Evan Franchina at Hollow Road in East Greenwich, Rhode Island, if you have any more questions, and if you want to send fan mail. Mr. Manning is the best teacher, and I can't wait to do track in the spring. Go Hawks! Fight for the green! Fight for the bold! Mighty Hawks! Should we just do that?
Yeah, and if you want to get any fan mail to your favorite Kiss, Alex Elevato, you can find him at 60 Great Canterbury Lane. 60 Canterbury Lane.
No, great.
And East Greenwich, Rhode Island as well.
401-234-6465. I repeat, 401-406-0060.
This next segment is not connected to or should be thought to be connected to Evan Franchina or Joe Nikia, as cringeworthy is the kindest to describe this next segment.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Please prepare your ears for a song from Little Elevato.
It's your boy Henry Clay. Get ready for that beat. Remember that boy who ran against me, the orphan from Tennessee? You might know Andrew Jackson, but you don't know all of the facts. Son, born in South Carolina, lived in the town of Waxhaw. He got into fist fights as a child until the Revolutionary War. He was made a messenger until he got captured mid-war. He went to live with his uncle, a situation where they were super poor. Jackson got money by rambling, relative. Too bad he spent it on gambling. Skip a bit, we are now in Tennessee. Jackson is a lawyer. He's also married. He is popular in the town of Nashville, introduced to politics, has a strong will. 1802, he is made a general, fought the British Rustics and also the Seminole Battle of New Orleans, led by Old Hickory. The War of 1812, got a medal for himself. 1824, he's a Democrat at war. I lost, but so did he, against Quincy. 4 years later, he's the president. There is an incident with his wife, she's dead. Indian Removal Act, they're forced to leave and not come back. He kicked them off their homes, they're forced to roam. Trail of Tears, a catastrophe, way past native brutality. The kitchen cabinet and spoil system, jobs for friends, they give him wisdom. Civil servants were fired while Jackson had his friend hired. The better banking system targeted at Nick Biddle, a way to stop banks' corruption. Too bad it caused major economic disruption. This man may have cleared our debt, but he made, stoked, and set a fire in our nation, which led to large inflation. How can a man such as this have his sins dismissed? He did win the presidency, but I could have definitely done better than that poor performance. I mean, like, seriously, why did they even vote for that man for a second term? He shouldn't have gotten that popular and did such awful things. They could have done way better than he did with much, much better morals as well. Next time, vote Henry Clay. Okay?
Thank you very much. Once again, Little Elevado, Jackson Ain't That Good album, 8th grade year. Yep.
Okay.
Let's ram this in the butt, boys.
Okay. Again, wording not.
Well, the wording on that one was purposeful.
I understand that. That was not needed.
Let's anal this boy. Sodomy on fire, boy. Thank you, co-host Evan.
Carols like the Cleveland, Digny, and McKinley.
Those aren't names. Those are just like ideas. Yeah, like
the what?
I don't know. It's just that's how ChatGPT wrote it. I'll add a quick sentence.